Hello, my name is Amanda Heidkamp. I'm in Bio 182. I'm going to be talking about the accuracy of the scientific findings of the news story "This Plant Evolved to Hide from a Predator, It Might Be Us." From the primary scientific article, "Commercial Harvesting Has Driven the Evolution of Camouflage in an Alpine Plant." The news story summary, I selected this news story article from the New York Times. This particular news article covers the concept of evolution that was learned in this biology course, where it specifically touches base on the topics of how species have genetically modified genes that have adapted over a period of time due to natural selection. The news article describes the specific tricks animals can use to disguise themselves from a predator to get less attention and how these disguises are familiar to most people. Moreover, this news article is related to the evolution because it covers research on the theory of evolution on a specific plant. A research at the Kunming Institute of Botany at the Chinese Academy of Sciences, Yang Neo, has spent many years conducting research on the ways plants can hide themselves to make them harder to spot. The article focuses on the Fritillaria delavae, a small charming plant with elegant leaves and bell-shaped yellow flowers spotted in China near the Heidkamp Mountains. However, 65 miles away from this range, you will see the same plant with different colors, questioning if it is the same species. This poses the question on how one species can have multiple colors. Findings from the primary literature article suggest that the Delaviae have evolved because people harvest its bulbs, and this plant is one of the examples of species where humans had inadvertently influenced them into evolving new traits. The news story covers the research findings by testing 8 plant populations to judge the harvest pressure at each site. Introduction to the primary literature article. This sparked the story for the news article focusing on commercial harvesting and how natural population of plants that are used by humans have likely also suffered strong pressure from harvesting, yet the potential of evolutionary change induced by humans have received surprisingly little attention. This article focuses on the plant. Fritillaria delavae is a perennial herb in the alpine screes of the Heidkamp Mountains. It has leaves at a young age and a single flower per year after the 5th year. For this specific study, the paper measured leaf and rock colors in 8 populations in southwest China, found significant color divergence among populations in CIE-AB color space, which is a vision model designed to show human color and luminous vision. The study also investigated the correlation between background matching and potential harvesting pressure intensity. Harvest pressure was estimated by collection intensity and collection difficulty. Furthermore, the article developed an online citizen science experiment called Spot the Fritillaria to test the prediction of the research. The goals of the study of the scientific research highlight the concepts throughout the article. An alpine herb used in traditional medicine has various colors and population. The degree of background matching correlation with human harvest pressure. Plant concealment greatly influenced search time in humans, and the color of evolution of this plant is likely driven by commercial harvesting. In order to estimate the collection intensity that is experienced by this population, the total collection of the plant would be divided by the relative abundance in the corresponding population. The goals of this study were to find any correlation between collar distance and collection intensity, and to test this theory, this plant has evolved over years of collection by humans to hide from us. The other goals intended to prove that natural selection by wild herbivores of this certain plant were not a driving factor of the evolution of the plant. It has been observed in this study that no animals have been feeding on the leaves or the bulbs of the plant in any of the 8 populations. Moreover, the species are rich in an alkaloid chemical defense, which are commonly known to effectively deter herbivores from consuming the plant, which is another factor that supports the hypothesis that anthropogenic impacts are a big impact on the color evolution of this plant. Findings and conclusions. As predicted, the findings of this experiment support the theory that harvest pressure from humans have greatly influenced the evolution of the color of the plant, and that even with other factors contributing to the plant's evolution, harvest pressure is the selective force driving the evolution of this plant. At the same time, the results show that the color of the plant varies amongst populations, closely matching their local background. There were other efforts made to ensure the findings of this plant evolution was not due to potential natural herbivores. The harvest activity from the collectors from this experiment influenced the adaptive evolution of plant color that ultimately intensified phenotypic divergence. The findings from the study go to show how human influence has driven the evolution of this specific plant. With this, it expected that there are many other analogous examples of humans being the driving force of evolutionary change in coloration in the wild. Accuracy of the news story. Is it accurate? The New York Times article is an accurate story that covers the topic of the primary literature article. This was a complex scientific study that explains the research and experiments to discover the human impact of the evolution of this plant. The news story is a short and concise narrative that conveys this research in a way for the public to understand with ease. The news article quotes the findings of the scientific article when it mentions the findings suggest that the plant is the latest example in a growing list of species humans appear to have inadvertently influenced into evolving new traits. As the news story continues to explain the methods of the experiment in the scientific article, it concludes by stating the study makes a fairly convincing case that humans are driving the camouflage of this plant. This claims made in the news story are accurately explaining the findings of the scientific article, where it states that our findings are consistent with harvest pressure as the selective force driving the color evolution of this plant. Overall, this was a good primary literature source to spark the news story that effectively portrayed the concepts of evolution in the public in a news story, and is important information to know due to the fact that this Chinese plant has valuable ingredients harvesting for medicinal purposes. Overall, the New York Times article was an accurate story that covers the importance taking place of the primary literature article by highlighting key points of the important study and includes research from scientists from the original article that inspired the news study. Here's my works cited page. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my presentation.